All right. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Good afternoon, I guess, right, Gail?
Yes, for
For
me it
you?
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good afternoon. We'll get into the time zone situation here in a moment. Good morning, good day, beloved Center for Spiritual Living Palm Desert and friends all over the world. We're so grateful to be back with you. You get Gail 2 days in a row. Sensational
Woohoo.
Six yesterday, and now one-on-one with me today. And I've been looking forward to this. I'm so grateful for an opportunity for our community to get to know you better, for me to get to know you better. And as you're kind of going through another portal into a new expression as Reverend Gail Morton,
Yes.
uh, which technically goes into effect on August 1st. We just had to handle the paperwork and all those formalities and things like that. It's a cool moment and opportunity to sit down with you and, like I said, get to know you better, hear a little bit more about your life. I promise it's going to be painless. Hopefully painless for me. and and folks, I understand my audio might be a little low, so I'm projecting my voice as best I can. And I know my color's a little bit off. I'm actually not in my oh, excuse me, what's that? Good.
It's good. It's
Okay,
good.
good. Not in my normal Zoom spot, but you can see this. It's a lasso right here. I'm in
Yeah.
the wild, wild west right now, making my way back to Palm Desert here soon. But took a couple days to come see a buddy. Spontaneous trip. So anyway, heading back to the desert this afternoon. Great to be with you, all of you. I love our 10 o'clock times. It's such a blessing for me. And we're very blessed to have Gail Morton. How are you? Just give us a general, where in the world are you? We talked about time zone. How are you? Just give us kind of a paragraph or two on the current events.
Okay. Well, I wish I could say yippee-ki-yo like I'm seeing in your background, but that's not where I am today. So, Reverend Charles, you are at one of my very favorite places in the whole world, which is the Grand Canyon. So that gives you an idea that I am an outdoor girl.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm in two places. Actually, I'm speaking to you from Michigan.
Okay.
And that is where I'm originally from. I was born and raised here and lived here for about 50 years, so a long time. But my husband and I have been going back and forth to Pennsylvania this summer because my husband's father made his transition. And both he and my mother-in-law have been having health challenges that have been complicated by COVID. So we're in the process of helping her figure out what her next steps are, and just really, really grateful to be here. And we have lots and lots of friends.
Good.
So it's really nice. Every summer we disappear for a few weeks and come back here and see people. And that way, when we get back to the desert, we can just do our thing when we're out there, which we love it. That really is our home.
Love
so, but yeah, we're doing very, very well. Obviously, going through the grief process and honoring all parts of that, and really appreciating actually the virtual opportunities to get together with family around grief and this process. So.
Yeah.
So we're missing the desert, but we're actually very busy and really enjoying our time here.
Good, good. So you, I just wanted to, if you are might be a weird way of putting it, but a student of grief. I mean, you understand the grieving process, so and assist others through that process substantially in
Yes.
what you do. So how is it when and much love to you and your family while you're going through your personal grieving process. How do you reconcile that when you have such a familiarity with grief and it hits so close to home like it is right now? How do you walk that out? Do you allow it to be personal, or is there an objectivity to it? Can you talk through that a little bit?
Sure. Well, for me, there's a little bit of both.
Okay.
So yes, as far as supporting our broader family, then I'm moving into my role of being a grief support counselor. And as far as myself, I recognize that it is too personal. Yes, I understand it intellectually. I also understand it in my heart, and there's aspects of it that I can use. But I also really lean on a lot of my practitioners, a lot of other ministers, a lot of other support people, because what I know about grief is that one of the greatest healing opportunities is through human connection. And that's what you have to remember when you are knowledgeable about anything. is recognizing when that personal element kicks in and really what are the basics. And it's really all about human connection. And that's why I love the virtual opportunities. If we didn't have that, I was listening last night when I was on our practitioner call here with virtually, and my husband was on a virtual call with his extended family, and they were laughing and telling stories and reminiscing and all the things that you can do in person. It's not quite the same, but they were on there an hour and a half at least. So it's really an interesting time for supporting people. And there's a lot of, when you say grief, just to qualify that, for me, grief is really about loss. I mean, that everybody experiences loss in all four pillars of our life. It's not just the transition of a loved one. I mean, we experience losses in all areas, even losses of trust and loss of faith and all different intangible losses. So what I like to consider is that what I try to do is support people through the loss process, because we can get stuck in it. And then that loss can become toxic to us. Rather, it can become that next step of growth. And that's where I see it for our family right now is, yes, our hearts miss our loved one, but we are growing through it. And I think that's possible for anyone who wants to.
Amen. Right on. Cool. You're so articulate about it too. I think that's you're the right person doing the right work and in the right place. Thank you for sharing your heart in the way that you do with our community and with the world. It's beautiful. So Reverend Gail,
Yes.
what's your why? Why did you come into ministry? What was your tug to be a minister? You didn't have to be a minister, right? You can still do the work that you do. You can still support people in the grieving process. What is it about actually formalizing the process of becoming a minister that called to you, that knocked on the door of your heart?
So this is an answer that you're probably not going to hear very often. But for me, the thought of after I had finished all my chaplaincy training and become board certified as a chaplain and began working in that field, I love that area so much that the thought of going to ministerial school never occurred to me. It never occurred to me. I had a number of my friends that were very good friends as practitioners that were going to enter the program, and it didn't even occur to me. And then Dr. Joe tapped me on the shoulder, of course, in front of about 30 people one day.
Peer pressure.
It was a lot of peer pressure. I said, hey, wait a minute. Why aren't you doing this? And the class had already started. And I said, and I had to think about it. I had to really think about it. Why wasn't I doing it? Or why would I do it? And so I went home, my husband and I talked about it. I really gave it a lot of thought. And the reason that I decided to go into ministerial school is, I heard you say the other day that pain pushes till the vision pulls. And that's Dr. Bernard Beckwith. But I'm not sure I've ever experienced the pain pushing me, but I've always experienced the vision pulling me. And the vision that I had is, you know what? I want to be the best Gail Morton that I can be. And I'm not there. And I want to be. And I think that going through this ministerial training will help me deepen my consciousness, my soul, my divine growth. And it absolutely did. And it's funny, once I took it into meditation, I never, ever felt even the slightest notion that I shouldn't be doing it. So I jumped in, albeit late, and it has been a magnificent experience. And you're right, I don't think there's anything that I love to do yet that I couldn't have done outside of having that ministerial credential. However, I also always want to be ready. What if something comes up that requires me to be a minister and it's going to be a lengthy process to get there? Guess what? There are no limitations, no roadblocks. So I love that part of it too.
Awesome. So cool. So what you mentioned that you wanted to, this is a number of years ago when Dr. Joe tapped you and you thought about it. I want to be the best Gail I can be. Paint that picture for us. What is that? Do you have you said you weren't getting there. Well, I guess I have a two-part question. Do we ever get there? And in your mind, the vision for yourself, what is Gail doing her life an optimized Gail living her life? What does that look like?
Okay, so very simply stated, and then I'll expand on it.
Okay.
You know, what I see is that Gail is a powerful woman and a passionate woman. And I want to grow into greater power and greater passion. And when I say power, I'm not talking about control. I'm not talking about violence. I'm not talking about any of those things. I want to be powerful in who I am. And what I know I am is divine energy. I know that about you. I know that about everyone. And I want to not only know that, Reverend Charles, I want to be it. I want to live it. And I also am very passionate about so many things, particularly people. I love connecting with people, and anything that I've ever done, and I've done an awful lot of things in my life, it's always been a function of being around people and human connection. You might not be aware, but I spent years in public accounting. I'm actually licensed as a CPA, so I have a real strong business background, and people will look at me and say, really? I can't, yes, I can see you doing that, but you don't seem like a bean counter to me. And I always laugh and tell them, you know what? I did it in a completely different way. For me, it was always about relationships and trust. And I was able to develop a really huge business around like and trust. You know, people trusted me. I knew what I was doing, and I had a relationship. You know, my husband used to say the phone would ring at 7 o'clock on Sunday morning, and he would say, it's so and so from this business for you. And they were calling because their mom had just made her transition, or something else had happened. A child had been in a motorcycle accident. They were calling for that reason. And yes, there were business aspects that they wanted me to also take care of, but I was like family to them. They wanted me to know. So for me, I don't do anything that I don't enjoy. And for me, that was really enjoyable. Yes, I could do the work, no problem there. But what I loved about it was the human connection.
And you're good at that, that's for sure.
Oh, well, thank you. It's what I love.
When the COVID thing first started, you sent me a wonderful email that established a connection between you and I that I loved. You said, if you need anything, we're here for you because I consider you an essential service. And that like pierced right into my heart. Just that was the email you sent. And I felt loved and cared for and seen in that moment. And you have a gift with that. There's no doubt. I think anybody who knows you that's watching this now or getting to know you, I think we can see it in your eyes, right, people? You can see it. It's there, the soul. By the way, please, if there are any comments or questions for Gail, please send them in, and we'll see about answering them. I definitely have some more, but let's see if our beautiful community out there has some as well.
Sure.
So what brought your family to the desert? How did you end up out here?
Oh boy, that's a great answer. I love it. So my husband and I both share a love for the outdoors. The only thing we don't do a lot of is golf, which seems kind of strange for the desert, but there's so much to do in the desert. Yeah. And so as we were vacationing, we would always end up coming back to the desert. And that was so strange for us because we love to travel. We love to experience people in other places, other cultures, other customs. We love that. But we kept coming back to the desert every single year. We loved to hike. We loved to explore. We loved just the people and the ambiance of this beautiful Coachella Valley. We were just mesmerized by it. And so when we got to thinking about, gosh, our family is now growing. All of our kids are scattered, and we know they're going to stay scattered. That's just kind of the way a lot of families are today. We thought, you know what, we can go anywhere we want. And we love it in the Coachella Valley. So that's what brought us there. And we couldn't be more thrilled. My husband teases me because when we come back from Michigan at the end of the summer, as you start to move closer to the Salton Sea and the plain, you can feel these little popcorn it's a little bit of popcorn turbulence, which in my mind is the mountain saying, here I am, you're back home. And my face is just plastered to the window. And he'll say, would you stop doing that? You look like a 5-year-old. I said, no, I've got to see. I'm so excited to be back. I've got to see this and see that. And so he gets a big kick out of me because I always have to sit by the window.
That's great. I do the same thing. I do the exact same thing. Right out the window. Yep. That is a 5-year-old inside of us that wants to do it. That's
okay with me.
Right? In awe. Yeah.
Yeah. In awe, in love. Yeah.
In love. Where else have you traveled? You said you traveled globally as well?
Yes, we have. So the Grand Canyon, as I said, many places here in the US we have traveled, including Hawaii. And again, the attraction in Hawaii is the beauty and the hikes. We love the hiking there. But we've been to Europe, we've been to the UK and done all that cool exploring. We've been to Italy 4 or 5 times.
Cool.
We have, and our trips are not staying in a 5-star hotel. We love to travel by hiking or biking. So all of the trips that we've taken, either to the UK, we've been to France, we've been to Italy, we've been to Greece, we've been to the Greek islands, we've been to Turkey. We've all done it either on foot hiking or we've done it on our road bikes. So, it's a great way to see kind of the lay of the land and to meet people. You can't believe the conversations you can have with people when you're on a bike or when you're on foot with a backpack. Yeah. So we just feel we hiked the Dolomites. That was an amazing hike. So we love traveling and we love to go to places where we can just explore and be outside.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Getting off the beaten path, really, you get a flavor of where you are.
Yes, exactly. And the architecture, the history. I am a real history buff. I love historical fiction. I just love it. And I think it's because in school, all we got were the facts and figures. We never got what happened to the people. How did this affect the people? And you just hear those stories in the history in these countries that you come back here and everything seems like it's brand new. The history in these countries is so rich and you just learn so much about people and really about yourself.
Yeah, totally absolutely about yourself. When I did my traveling, that's what I wanted to see, who I was, what I was made of, in a place where we might have a language barrier and things like that, but to risk it, just to have the experience of being a human being, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. And we found there really isn't a language barrier. There's nowhere we've been. And probably the signs in Turkey were probably the most difficult for us to follow, but it was never a handicap, a handicap. So that's kind of fun too.
Yeah, totally. So you've mentioned hiking a few times in the outdoors, hiking. So physical health, it sounds like, is important to you and taking care of your body. Can you talk about that a little bit? How your relationship with how you take care of yourself physically?
Mm-hmm. It is. It's a primary focus for me to take care of this body, that I've been given in this worldly part of my spiritual journey. So really important for me to take care of my physical body. And I do it in ways that I love. So I hear a lot of people say, oh, I hate going to the gym. I hate doing this. You know what? We head out and go on hikes. We get on our bikes. I love to do yoga. And so that all of my activity isn't that hard charged. It's a nice mix. And so I'm a real yoga fan. I do yoga first thing in the morning, outdoors. My mat's rarely ever inside at a class. And I've done a lot of yoga retreats, a lot of silent yoga retreats. They've been wonderful. So yeah, I really believe that it's important for me to take really good care of my body. And as I do, my body is taking care of me. And that's what's supporting and housing this journey that I'm on. So, and I feel good. And that's important to me, how I feel.
So there's a key in there too, that as far as you taking care of yourself, you do it in ways that you enjoy yourself while you're doing it. And I think that's a takeaway for people that are listening, because the question I wanted to ask is, what would you offer to people that struggle with taking care of their body? Mm-hmm. There are ways of doing that can actually be life-giving and fun, that don't have to be like a task, if you will, or an obligation of some sort. Can you speak a little bit more about that? What would you offer somebody that really, God, I really want to start taking care of my body more, but yeah, just aren't doing it?
Yeah. Well, the first step that I'd suggest is please recognize that, just like Reverend Charles said a few minutes ago, you are an essential person. You are valuable. You are here because someone needs you. All of us are here for a purpose. There's someone, something, all kinds of things that need you because you're here. So love yourself as I love you, as Reverend Charles loves you. Sometimes not loving yourself gets in the way of caring for yourself. So that's where I'd suggest that everybody start. And then the second step is find what you love. If what you love is going for a walk with a good friend, do that. You're moving. Do what you love. Maybe you love to swim. Maybe you love maybe you want to investigate a new practice. It never hurts to just try something. What is it? 30 minutes, an hour, almost anything you can get online. So think about what it is that you love. So my sister, for example, does not like and never has hiking, biking, things that are real active, but she's really getting into Tai Chi.
Oh,
And we
cool.
just explored she loves movement. She's so graceful. And she's doing Tai Chi and she's loving every minute of it. And after dinner, she's taking a walk with her husband, someone she dearly loves. And they both enjoy that time together and that ritual. So it's finding something that you love.
Love it. Yeah, love it. Let's a couple comments here, Gail. Let's see. Reverend Gail, so great to have you and Reverend Charles here at CSL Palm Desert. That's from Adair. Thank you, Adair. And then we've got, why is my scrolling not working here? I want to get down to the next message. Can you see it, Gail?
Can. It says,
will you read it then if for some reason?
I will. Yeah, it says, Gail, thank you for being you as the growth of your quiet certainty and learning to effectively share that. And that's very intuitive about me. Thank you. And it's not something everyone understands. Yeah.
Yeah. Quiet certainty.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's fancy individual, whoever you are. Thank you for commenting. Is there a fire inside of you too? I think a lot of people from the outside would see there's a quiet certainty. There's a what's the word? Softness. I mean all these in the most life-giving way. Quietness. I guess a softness. Is there a lioness in there too? Is there some fire? Do you have any fire, or are you more live with that kind of quiet certainty?
Oh,
do the claws ever come out? Do Gail's claws ever come out?
Well, I'm not sure I equate claws and fire. So
I don't mean like in an attacking way necessarily, but in a
claws would not be me. Definitely would not be me. But what I was known for when I was in public accounting, which was nearly 30 years, I was known for that partner that had the fire in the belly. Because for me, where my fire comes out is I'm always eager to learn something new. I'm always willing to bring something new to the table, whether I know it's going to work or not. I'm always willing to explore, and I'm always eager to try something new. And now my focus has been for a number of years, when I'm trying something new, how can I bring this to the center? How can I bring this to people that I love and care about? So yes, that fire is there. At the same time, I work very, very hard on a part of myself that hasn't always been here. And that's keeping that peace, not only on the inside, but on the outside, no matter what's going on. Because I know that there's a part of me that knows nothing but peace. And that any other response from me is not going to be as helpful, as constructive, as valuable. So I always try to keep in mind peace and gratitude in anything that I do. And here lately, I've been listening to a lot of Dr. Martin Luther King's old talks and other individuals, Mahatma Gandhi. And, that's really that's what they give to me, is that reminder that, Gail, you can be peaceful on the inside and on the outside and still have that fire in the belly.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. a controlled burn.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you have families all over the country.
We do.
So as a mom, what is the greatest gift being a mother's for that you've harvested out of being a mom? Can you give us maybe a couple of the greatest gifts that you've harvested from being a mother?
Wow, there are so many. I think probably one of the greatest gifts of being a mom is having that adult relationship with your children. When your children are younger, they need you in so many different ways. And my mom always said, you know what, Gail, it's great that you're so involved with the kids when they're younger, but never forget that when they get older, they need you more. And when my kids were younger and they needed so much, that I couldn't process that. I couldn't just fathom it. But you know what? She was right. So I think the greatest gift of being a mother is that you're always a mother, that your role changes as time changes, but no matter how old your children are, you always have that relationship. You're always their mother. And to me, that's not just a gift, it's a true honor. No matter what path your children decide to take.
Yeah, absolutely. So that you're constantly in contact with them, huh? Well, but you're.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
We are in contact, and yes, by phone, but we do a lot that's FaceTime and we do Zoom. Typically it's FaceTime. We do meals together, all kinds of things. And we do have some traditions. So this past Thanksgiving, all of our children, their spouses, our grandchildren, everybody came to our place in La Quinta, and we had, I think, 36 people for a week. Everybody stayed for a week. Now, they all obviously couldn't stay with us, but they were planted everywhere. And we just had a ball. And every other year, everybody commits to coming to where we are, and we host Thanksgiving. So we always connect. And then when we're here in Michigan in the summer, we usually get to see some people. They tend to come, kind of congregate in. So we get to spend a lot of time with them, even though everybody is living someplace different.
Cool. I want to pop in for that celebration. Can I just do a pop by?
Guess what? You're invited.
Thanks.
You're invited.
Talk about peer pressure on the spot. It'd be a little weird right now if you said, yeah, Reverend Charles, no, we don't welcome outsiders.
You don't know me very well. When I say you're invited, I mean it.
I believe you.
You're on the list. And it's a fun group. It's a fun group of people. We love to play games and all kinds of interactive stuff. So, and all ages, anywhere from 1 to 38, I think is kind of where the span is.
So cool. Yeah, I love it. I can really resonate with what you said about from being a mother and your children leaning into you. I lean into my mom all the time.
Yeah.
Her wisdom, just for, quite frankly, just to call and cry sometimes.
Yes.
Because I know even without words, she gets it. Wherever my heart's coming from, mom gets it.
Yes.
Without any words.
And you know what? Moms love you unconditionally, no matter what.
It's very special.
Yeah, we had one of our daughters that developed a challenge, an addiction challenge that was very, very acute. And it was interesting. I had a lot of friends, very, very dear people to me, that after several years and a lot of trauma, it wasn't drama, it was trauma. They said, you know what? Why are you doing this? Gail, why are you doing this? And I just step back, step away. This is a mess. Why are you doing this? And I said, you know what? A mother never, ever gives up on a child, ever. And I never did. And this child of ours now is flourishing, and she is giving back to the world in ways that, honestly, I don't know how it would have been possible had she not lived through this experience.
Wow.
So
powerful testimony.
Absolutely.
So that actually comes in with, and Jeff in the Swing Point Media producers booth. I asked him to help me out with prepping for this today, so he gave me some good stuff. Jeff, Ed McMahon Harrison, my guy on the couch there, my support system. So that actually lends to part of our mission statement, which is healing lives one heart at a time.
Yes.
So you did that with with your daughter. You
Yes.
helped heal her life one heart at a time. In your ministry, kind of jumping off of that, springboarding off of that idea, in your ministry to Center for Spiritual Living Palm Desert, within the context of healing lives one heart at a time, what does Reverend Gail bring to your ministry? I guess there's two questions here. How are you helping heal lives one heart at a time? I think we already have a sense of that, but if you could talk a little more about it. And then specifically, what will you be doing at the center to embolden and empower our ministry?
Okay. Well, first of all, yeah, those are two great questions. Thank you for asking them. First of all, I think my promise to you, Reverend Charles, is that, and to the center, is that what I'm telling you today isn't finite. I'm always growing, and I'm always looking for ways to support our center and our community as well. It's very important for me to also give back where I live. So some of the things that I delight in bringing to the center would be a lot of new rituals around celebrations of life. And when I say celebrations of life, I mean that broadly. I don't mean just that someone has transitioned. Yes, that is so important. And I feel there are so many ways that we can help people heal through those processes that we're probably not touching right now. But what about all of our wonderful kids that are graduating? What about, celebrations through any different type of transition? We have a lot of people that are moving out here, that are retiring. Maybe they become empty nesters. Maybe they just changed jobs. All kinds of amazing things that happen. I think we miss some of those amazing opportunities. So I'm looking forward to bringing forth some of those amazing opportunities. I also am a real believer in prayer. And I love the way prayer can move. It can jockey around. Right now, we've been really involved with I've been doing a lot of spiritual counseling sessions. I love doing one-on-ones. We also call them practitioner sessions. That's reaching one heart, one life, one heart at a time. And in those processes, I hear a lot from people that, that they're wanting more in the way of prayer, meditation. I'm always trying to come up with different ways that we can approach that. Look at right now the Power of Eight. The Power of Eight is all about getting off of yourself and intending for someone else, because the science has shown that that is a powerful manifester for you. Yeah. Well, that's a different way to approach the same powerful thing, which is prayer. Doesn't mean it's any more powerful or any less than spiritual mind treatment, but I'm always looking for ways that we can bring these processes into the center, and also in a varied way, so that we can reach different people. Yeah. Because we all realize everything we do doesn't speak to everyone. And we want to find a way that we can reach people, reach individuals. I also love doing grief classes, grief workshops. I do a lot of individual one-on-one grief work. I have a grief beyond grief workshop that I do at least a couple times a year. It's an 8-week workshop for individuals that have been stuck in grief for a long time and are ready to heal. And it absolutely is transformational. I see people come into the center after completing that workshop and doing the work. They're the ones that are doing it, Reverend Charles. They look like a different person, and their lives have shifted in ways that they couldn't even have imagined. Those ways that were just waiting, to pop forward and to bloom. So I plan on continuing that. I also plan on continuing I'd love to get involved in more celebration of life services for individuals that are transitioning, and really all areas of loss. I'm currently exploring all different ways to bring that to the center. And I have some exciting topics I'd love to do some talk titles on from time to time. And a lot of it relates to my experience around loss.
Lovely. Excellent. Which is such an important, we're all going to face it, all of us. Like you said, not just the loss of a loved one or the death of a human being, but loss of a job, bankruptcy, all sorts of things. Losses, it's part of the process, right? So
yes,
a blessing upon your house for being who you are and the beacon of light that you are.
Well,
In addition to ministry, oh, I'm sorry, what's that?
change is a given.
Yep.
So you can really equate loss also to change. Change is tough for all of us. All of us resist change. But the beautiful thing about change is if everything was permanent, there would be no such thing as infinite possibilities in our lives. And because everything changes, that opens the universe up to infinite possibilities, which is the truth. So that's what I love about change and how I like to process it. Is, hey, it's opening up for another infinite possibility.
Love it. It makes me think. Yesterday we were in the car and my buddy said we were at a stop for some construction and there was a car so right in front of us and they said, "Does Nevada have new license plates?" I said, "Yeah, I think they." And another friend said, "Yeah, I think Nevada does have new license plate." And then they just said, "I just don't like change." License plate change, right? How it affects like I want things to be comfortable and I want to know what's going to happen, and that's just not the way it goes. It's just not life. So it's a very trivial thing, but it's the smallest stuff too that can just get us and grab our attention.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you so a birdie put in my ear, I just want to see if this is true. Are you on a think tank committee for the University of California, Berkeley?
No, I am not.
You're not. Oh, okay.
Nope, I am not. So I'm not sure where that came from.
I don't know either, but I thought I'd check in on it.
Yeah.
A bit of fun little fact.
I have been to the University of California at Berkeley. I took an interfaith spiritual direction program for 2 years there. It was a weekend, several weeks out, a weekend. And so I've spent quite a bit of time on that campus and I'm still very connected to that campus, but not formally in the form of a think tank.
Gotcha. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Do you so in addition to ministry, are you up to other stuff as far as like a job? Do you still have your other business? You do some consulting, right? What can you tell us a little bit more about some of your quote unquote secular work?
Yes. Well, first of all, I'd like to share with you, because this is in many ways also secular because it's very non-denominational, but what I really love to do that I would consider a job simply because I am so passionate about it. And that's what I think work is all about, things that you love to the point that it's play for you, not work. I mentioned before that I'm a board certified chaplain. I actually went through the CSL program for all of my CPE. And I've been at Eisenhower for, I think, almost 5 years now as an interfaith chaplain. So that's the favorite work that I do, is that I see patients of all faith traditions, of no faith tradition. And I absolutely love that at the hospital. I also do a lot of training there and a lot of shadowing for individuals that are coming in. A lot of our chaplains are retired ministers. And chaplaincy is really very different than ministry. My training in ministry was very different than it was as a chaplain. I'm really trained in spiritual care as a chaplain. And so I'm able to really add to these ministers' training in the form of spiritual care. So I absolutely love that. And now I'm part of a national team that is doing virtual chaplaincy work at hospitals all over the country now that we're not able to physically be in a hospital setting. Mm-hmm. So I bring that up first because that's absolutely what I love to do. I also have individuals that I work with as an interfaith spiritual director, which is a little bit different than being a practitioner. I have individuals I work with as a practitioner, and I also do spiritual counseling. And all are just slightly different depending upon what the circumstances are and what someone is looking for. Okay. And so when I went through the board chaplaincy certification process, I did the same for spiritual counseling. And that was before I knew I was going to go to ministerial school. So I love all of that. And I also love the fact that I'm able to do some consulting based upon keeping my CPA license current and in the business world. And so my background was for profit. I worked with commercial enterprise, primarily manufacturers, but because I'm a people person and I developed those relationships. The firm I worked for was all what they call closely held businesses. So they're not public companies, they're privately held. And so you're working with the owners, you're working with a connected community board. You're not working with people that fly in and fly out, and there's no chance for a relationship. So I'm still involved in some of those relationships. And where I found it to be very helpful now is, even though I was involved in the commercial side, you know, again, I'm working with people, and people have needs for financial planning. They have needs for estate planning. And really, with my mom's fairly recent transition, and now Gary's father, I've been helping a lot of people with their estate closure. So, that is something that I find very gratifying, because it's a very confusing process, yet everybody's got to go through it.
Yeah.
So to the extent that I can help them understand it and simplify it, that's a big deal.
I think that's great, particularly for our community to know that you do that. Is Gail for hire?
Well, Gail, not really for hire. So I'm trying to limit my that part of my job to kind of what I'm doing now, because what's real important is that when I left public accounting and we physically moved and I started doing all the things that I'm doing now, although I was doing many of them while I was in public accounting, I actually started my work at hospice when I was a CPA in public accounting. That's how I got my start. And but I realized, Reverend Charles, I had so many close-knit relationships that if I didn't kind of have a hard break from that and help other people transition into those roles, I would never be able to follow that pull. And that for me was what was happening. I was more and more getting pulled into the work I was doing in hospice. I was also doing work for a foster care agency. That's where my heart was. And I had to listen to my heart. And had I not made a fairly clean break, other than the consulting, I would still be in that world. And I was being pulled out of that world. I had done that. It was wonderful, but it was time for my spirit to move on.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
That can be a challenge for people to really listen to their heart. I mean, because we have to trust it, and then trust it will be supplied for when we do that. Not only financially, but with idea and with peace of mind and peace of heart and all of that. It's a big takeaway, I think, for now. And you're a testimony to that following your heart breeds success, and continue and fulfillment, right?
Absolutely. Both. Absolutely. And following my heart has always led there. And when I haven't, it's led me in a different direction. So yeah. I've learned to follow my heart.
Yep. So what book's on your nightstand right now, or on the coffee table next to your favorite chair? What are you reading?
Where you're going to laugh. I'm reading Spiritual Intelligence right now. And the reason when I told my husband, showed him the book, he's like, what's that all about? So there are many of us that have gone through the ministerial program that are taking a workshop this weekend on growing our spiritual intelligence. And that's what this workshop is all about. There was an assessment that all of us took, so we kind of had a feel for where we are right now. But for those of us that want to grow in our spiritual integrity, living it, being it, not just knowing it, this was a tool to kind of understand baseline where you are. And then we'll all go into a workshop together. And then I'm also going to do a private kind of a counsel with individuals that are trained in this spiritual intelligence. So I'm real excited about it. And I was so excited about it. I wanted to get the book and really understand what's going on here. When I get my assessment back, what does it mean? What can I do with it? That's the most important part. I don't get stuck on numbers. It's like, where can I go from here? And so I'm really excited about it. So that's the book that I'm reading right now. But I also jump into other things all the time. I've just finished a book by Pema Chodron, and I love her. She's a wonderful Buddhist monk, and I get so much out of her readings. And so I've got books going all the time. I have a book called Atlas Shrugged that I'm reading that was written by Ayn Rand decades ago. And my husband is making me read it. He said, you need to read this book. I'm not going to tell you why. So I'm reading it.
Love it. That's cool.
Yeah.
How about music?
I love music.
You listen to?
Well, I love different types of music. So I love upbeat music of any kind. It can be pop, it can be country, it can be, and I also love meditative music. I listen to all of that. So I would say the only kind of music I'm not fond of is anything that has the connotation of violence or injury or something like that. I try to stay away from that. But yeah, I almost always have music on in the background.
Cool. Love it. You go to concerts much? Do you like to enjoy live music?
I did. Yes, I certainly did. Yes. Yes. And I can't wait for concerts to come back again. I'm really looking forward to them. I think Luke Bryan was the last one that I went to, and that was back must have been in January in the desert. So that was the last one I went to, and he was an amazing, amazing entertainer.
Is there a lot of music in the wintertime in the desert? Is there a lot of, I know there's Coachella's the huge festival. Other than that, are there a bunch of live music opportunities? Because it will be my first full winter here.
Oh, yeah. So, there's almost no limit to how much, depending upon what you like. So there's Coachella, of course, and also Stagecoach, if you like country music that falls more in the spring. There are private concerts, different places. That's how I went to Luke Bryan. He comes into PGA West. They have a big, by the way, golf tournament there every single year in January. And you happen to know someone who can get free tickets that doesn't use them.
Do I?
Yes, you do, right here.
This is good news.
Every year we're trying to find people that would love to use these. It's the Desert Classic, Bob Hope Desert Classic.
Yep. I'm your Huckleberry. I'm your Huckleberry.
Yeah, exactly. So I've already got that kind of on my back burner. So, but all the casinos bring in artists. So there's a lot of people that come in, and quite frankly, the musical talent in our desert, just going to different restaurant locations. I mean, it's second to none. You're not going to hear more talent on a big stage than what you're going to hear in our Coachella Valley community.
Love it.
Really wonderful stuff. Many, many different places to go.
Love it. Cool.
Yeah.
That's a testimony to our house band as well. We have such talent in our band at CSL Palm Desert. Extraordinary musicians.
Yes, it is extraordinary. Yeah. Each and every one of them is so talented. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So pivoting a little bit here, we're getting kind of close to the top of the hour. Someone mentioned, Cool One says relationships with adult children are amazing. I agree.
Yes.
I think we're all in agreement on that, right?
You have a lot to look forward to, a lot to enjoy right now, Reverend Charles, and a lot to look forward to.
Love it.
It's all good.
Amen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to miss any moment of it. It's what this is about you and not me, but the last 7 months have been so challenging.
I bet.
Just as a 7-year-old, it's changing so much. But yeah, anyway. So it's all good. We just keep doing it and staying as much in the moment as possible, right? Would you be willing to share with us, again, to create some depth and more context? You mentioned what the path you walked through with one of your daughters and addiction. Can you speak to another, like a personal dark night of the soul experience you've had in your life and how that's benefited you, a gift that you've been able to harvest out of that? Or is that the instance that answers that question?
Well, I think that definitely would be probably my darkest moments. Okay. Yes. Okay. However, I had a real struggle that I'm very happy to share. I had a real struggle with my own biological mother. And that I've been able to understand and love and resolve in my life. And I didn't for decades and decades. I was born to a family where I had a phenomenal mother. My mother had probably experienced more traumas, true traumas in her life than anyone I think I've ever met. Mm-hmm. And I came to understand as I got much, much older that the reason that she required of me total perfection. When I was growing up, there was never anything I could do right. And if I didn't get an A or an A+, it was never good enough. It was just a lot of pressure. And I never really felt like my mom, I always felt like it was more of a business deal for my mom. Raising me was more of a business deal than it was never unconditional love. It was always love was very conditional on getting that A or getting that, that role in the play or whatever it was. And I didn't understand that. And I really had a tough relationship with my mom for many, many years. And then as I got older, I discovered that really that what happened for my mom is that she never processed her grief. One of the reasons that I went into the work I did, because I had to do it myself. My father died when I was very young. There was never any processing of grief. My mom just picked up the pieces and we moved on. Nobody ever talked about it. Nobody ever, nothing. We just moved on. And, I really came to understand that my mom had so much hurt in her life that she had never resolved, that it just became so toxic for her. And the reason she behaved towards me the way she did was not because she didn't love me. She loved me so much that she wanted me so desperately to have a better life than she had had. And it took me, I was probably in my early 40s before I realized that. And she was a person that always tried to control my life from afar. Didn't matter where she was, close or far. She tried to control it down to the last minute. And I discovered that in my early 40s about her. And it really softened my heart. And it allowed me to understand her. I knew I was never, ever going to be able to change her, that maybe I could help her. And I think over the years, particularly her last few years of her life, I spent a lot of time as her caregiver. We were able to talk about things that we had never been able to share before. And it was a really tough 40 years for me, really, really tough. I was born with some physical handicaps. That was a real disappointment to my mom. I'll always remember that. My dad was the one that picked me up and carried me around and allowed me to see the world as an observer, which I think has really helped my life today, but not for my mom. And but I was able to heal that myself, and I believe heal anything between us before she made her transition. So I had some very, very dark nights around my relationship with my mom, and that's no longer the case.
Amen. Right on. You got free. A testament to
I think she did too.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good. How did that inform? So you said you kind of had an awakening about this in your early 40s. How did this inform your motherhood, you being a mom, the whole process of that?
It really helped me in the area of non-judgment. So as you might imagine, the personality that my mom was presenting was very judgmental. So I grew up looking to make judgments. That was almost my natural reaction. And when I realized that, I was horrified. And it's taken a lot of work to move from perfectionism and judgment to responsibility and non-judgment. And it's something I continue to work on all the time. But I really thank her because I learned, probably more profoundly than I could have any other way, that everybody is on their own journey. Everybody is. And just to respect the journey that they're on, know that they're getting exactly what they need in that moment. And it doesn't affect me in any way. I always have the ability to move, to choose something different, to move my life around something that's not working for me based upon someone else. But I don't have to hold on to that judgment around them. I don't have to formulate a judgment. I can just love them for who they are.
Yeah.
And I think for all of our children, they've all done something completely different. And there's never been a time that I think I've looked at any of them and had any different judgment around. I've just loved the fact that they're following their own journey. And there's times that I don't agree with where they are and the decisions they make, but I can respect and love their journey and know that it's that they're here to have their journey. It's not my journey. It's their journey. And for me to be able to love it and enjoy it and to be there for them if something happens and they do make a mistake or they're unhappy about their choices, I'm still there for them and I still love them in the same way, whether they made that decision or not.
No, right on.
Does that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We just want to hear from you. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It answers the question. So we are just about to the top of the hour, and I want to give you the kind of the before I handle some formalities, the last say here, what do you want our beautiful CSL Palm Desert community, what else do you want us to know about you as we continue to move forward with you moving into your, formal ministry here, formalizing with a letter of call. You've obviously been doing ministry for a long time. But what else do you want us to know about your heart and who you are and maybe what we can expect from you moving forward?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to everyone. I am so grateful for this community, so grateful for Reverend Charles and Dr. Joe that are opening up this opportunity for me. And I'm delighted to say I don't know exactly where it's going to go. I never want to know where something's going to go, because if I do, I'm going to block whatever comes. And that's going to be so much more. So I want to, first of all, say thank you. I am very, very grateful for everyone welcoming me into this community as you have, giving me the opportunity to come to you with workshops, with opportunities. So thank you. And I think the most important thing that I want you, I guess, to leave you with is just that I'm very grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for these opportunities, and I'm grateful to get to know you better. Reverend Charles, I really look forward to getting to know you better. Look forward to getting to know everyone in the congregation and bringing my best to this community. We just love the community that we live in, love being a part of it, so grateful to be a part of it. And I don't think that will ever change for me, so.
Right on, cool. Well, I'm grateful to be walking with you. It's a beautiful journey. Yeah, it's the blessings are everywhere.
They are. Yeah.
Thank you for being with me today and doing this. And it's just fun. It's a fun ride. We're riding it.
Fun. I really enjoyed it, and I knew that I would. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, right on. That's Reverend Gail Morton, ladies and gentlemen. She officially becomes a reverend on August 1st, but that's just formalities. But a good one.
A good one.
A beautiful one. That's right. So let's see. We're wrapping it up. Thank you, everybody, for participating today and being here. It's been a fun last hour getting to know Gail more and who she is and who she is personally and who she's going to be as a leader in our community and how she's going to serve this community and how we can support her in that as well. So rock and roll. All right. What day is it? It's Thursday. That means tomorrow it's Friday. And that means it's another edition of Life on Love with me at 10 a.m. I'll be back in my regular spot. Sure, we have another surprise guest dropping in to help you get to know me better as well as your associate minister. And then, of course, Saturday, we've got our meditation. And then Sunday, another beautiful service coming your way. So we continue to welcome your support. Spread the word. We want to continue to grow our YouTube audience. So we appreciate you spreading the word of individuals sending them there to see all the beautiful content, programming that we've created to support you and living your best life. And we want to keep growing our viewership and expand our community. We want to expand our community. One human family. That's the vision. One human family together. It's a blessing. All right, that's what we've got. And then, of course, next week, another lineup. We just keep on rocking and we keep on rolling. That's what we're doing. Reverend Gail, you radiate. Have a beautiful day. Really appreciate you. And thank you, community, for being here. I will see you tomorrow. Reverend Gail, we will see you when we see you.
Exactly.
Wednesday at least. Everybody out there, make it the best day ever.